Hey yo, welcome to another episode on Kast podcast here with Mula Ranks, and we're back again with another one. And today we have a special guest. So we head off. He goes by the name of Unkopote Thompson Bed. Is it Bed? Yeah. So according to the information that I've received, you are the regional coordinator of the Youth League of ANC, right? Okay. If you would briefly explain yourself and what a regional coordinator of the Youth League does, or what is your like your position? What do you do as the regional coordinator?
Thank you very much. I think let me start by appreciating the opportunity to sit with you.
Okay.
With your difficult name. I've been trying to memorize your name. It says Mula. I'm not sure Mula lo in the
It's
Kiliburu, you know.
It's a media name. It's not.
No. So I'm struggling with it. I even told the thing that this name and it's a bit difficult for me.
Okay.
But yeah, man. Look, my name is Unkopote Thompson Bed.
Or Bete.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a child of Soshanguve.
Okay.
I was born here, bred here, lived here, live here.
Okay. Where exactly?
I'm from Block BB.
Okay.
So home is Block BB. I've been there for...
Block BB, where they killed the 5-year-old.
No.
Is it Block BB?
That one is Block BB. It's just here. Okay. So I've been in Block BB for many years. I was born there.
Okay.
In the early 90s. And that has been my journey throughout. I've been a Soshanguve boy since through and through. So I happened to be in politics, and my journey in politics started, I could roughly say from just being a child, just observing society and all that. I've always been a person who's very inquisitive about my surrounding. Okay. I've been a person of social justice all my life, and I think to a large extent there's been an influence through my parents perhaps, who were also politically inclined during the 70s and the 80s and so forth. So I happened to, that back caught me, and I've been in politics for roughly 20 years now. I've been a member of COSAS, I've led COSAS from branch level until national level. I've led SASCO. Many might know SASCO. It's a student organization in tertiary institutions. There's a number of organizations as well at the tertiary level that I've led, BMF, or ANCYL. There's just been a lot of structures that one has been involved in. Okay. And of course, the Youth League is a structure that we grew up under. When we joined COSAS, we were automatically members of the Youth League. So that has been our journey through and through. And the current position that I'm holding on the ANC Youth League is that I'm a regional coordinator. Constitutionally, you would say I'm a regional secretary. But because I'm an interim structure, I'm called a coordinator because it's on an interim basis until we go to Congress, of course. So now I'm the regional coordinator of the ANC Youth League. Now the ANC Youth League is the league of the ANC, the African National Congress. Okay. It has just a simple twin task. One is to mobilize young people under the ban of the ANC, but also to make sure that it champions the interests of young people. Okay. So those are two primary tasks of an ANC youth leader. So at the regional level, we are dealing with coordinating branches of Tswane, 107 plus special branches. So it's just another process that will then be able to further talk about at a later stage. But that is roughly the person that we're interviewing here today. His small background and the current responsibilities that he's holding.
For someone like me, who's not really into politics, and I've never heard of you, I've never seen you anywhere, but you are the regional coordinator of the Youth League. So I'm part of the youth, and I'm sure majority of us of the youth in Soshanguve never heard of you. They don't know you. Only the people who are part of the, or is it like when you are a regional coordinator of the Youth League of the ANC, is it for the people who are part of the, maybe let's say the group chats or whatever, or you serve the youth of Soshanguve as a whole? I want to understand, or like, do you serve only those who follow ANC, or you serve the youth as a whole?
No, let me try to unpack a bit in relation to structurally what will be the process, but also what is our role in society. I think your question looks more in what is the role of a young person in society, if I get to be corrected, I think. Look, the ANC Youth League is a structure, it's an organization. It's an organization that you join voluntarily. Now, you would find a situation where there is an organization like the ANC Youth League that any young person can join at the age of 14. The cap bracket is 35. Now, when you want to participate in the structures of the ANC Youth League, you look for a branch, meaning you are going to, in your ward, you go to maybe perhaps your ward councillor. They can be able maybe to direct you. But ordinarily, in a vibrant youth league, which is something that we're going to speak about at a later stage, and which I agree with you when you're saying, you might not know us and so forth, because we are from different areas and so forth. So we happen to be known elsewhere we're not known, but we end up representing everyone across the region. Now, if ordinarily there is a vibrant youth league, in the structures, you would happen to know others through programs that will be having and so forth. But I think, because what you are raising is very pertinent, and I think it's something that speaks to my heart actually, as an activist, because I would not want a situation where we are a leader of young people and they feel some sort of distance from you. I don't think that will be what the ANC Youth League ordinarily should be. And there's a number of reasons why sometimes it's like that. It's politics that are internal, but with the current structure that we're having of the RTT now in Tshwane, is to make sure that we get to be known. That's why we are here.
What's RTT?
It's a regional task team of the ANC Youth League. So me being a regional coordinator, it means I'm in the task team of the ANC Youth League. Until we go to Congress, then we will get to be called an REC, if one happens to be elected, of course. Now, that is where actually why we would want to touch base with young people who are trying to, change the status quo of young people on the ground, be it through the stories that are being told, because arts and culture is one of those critical components that I personally actually I'm very passionate about. I also happen to be an advisor of the Premier of Gauteng, and I was deployed in the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. So I've been in that department, so I am very passionate about sports, arts and culture. I'm also chairing social cohesion and nation building in Gauteng at the provincial level in the office of the Premier. So it's one of the things that ANCYL we want to make sure that there is no young person who's left behind, and young people, they get to know their leaders, but also for us to be accessible so that also young people, they can feel that they can be leaders tomorrow as well. So it must not be something that is exclusive or that is hidden. This is a responsibility that we are given to serve. When you are saying we're not known, actually it touches me, because it's something that is worrying. It means we're not touching young people how we are supposed to touch them. Because my interest and your interest is, for me particularly, to make sure that I deliver the needs as a young person in Soshanguve. What is it that we want to achieve, and so forth and so forth. So I think as well it's something that we want to work on, and try to make sure that by all means we are able to speak to organized groupings, because it's much more easier and more effective when we are dealing with organized young people than young people who are disjointed. So situations like this, when you are having your podcast and so forth, I would understand that there's a team behind and so forth. So there's a culture behind. So that culture, it's a culture that we must be able to also speak to, but also be much more familiar and more friendlier towards it, so that we'll be able to understand what is it that needs to happen, and we guide each other. So I think there is a greater need for deeper conversations about where we must take Soshanguve, because we are here and it must be very organized. The voice that we are having is very critical. It can either make young people to fall into drugs, or it can make young people to go to school and be in business and so forth. So it's something that we're not taking for granted.
Excuse me for taking too long to before I get into the main reason why you are here. I know why you are here, and I have to ask these type of questions because there's a lot of people like me, especially the youth, who don't understand anything about politics and whatever. And when they watch this thing and you just talk about this particular thing, I think they'll be much less interested in whatever that you will be saying. But if like you explain more about politics, I think firstly people must be interested about politics to firstly even care about he's done a march against the what because I think people they are less interested in politics. That's why many of us, the youth, don't even care about voting because we are going to elections on the 29th, right? So many people are, especially the youth, are not interested in that. I know dozens of people personally who did not even register to vote because of they don't even care about politics. Let's be honest. So excuse me if I don't get straight into, because like the main purpose of a podcast is to get it deep into detail of whatever subject that we will be discussing, unlike on radio where you just focus on what you came there for, right? So I like how you are able to break down everything, because like sometimes you get people who are not well spoken. From what I observed from you, I think you are well spoken, and then maybe because now I don't even understand politics like that, right? But then from this conversation I get to get beats and whatever from that, and maybe I can look at politics from a different eye now that you've opened a door of a world that I didn't even know, right? So on the main reason why you are here, I would like to start, because like you are here because on the when is it on the 22nd you are going to the police station, right?
Yes.
To march against crime. So like what would you say is the main reason why you have decided as the regional coordinator of the ANC Youth League to go and march against crime?
No, I think let me try to. I'm glad because I like conversations,
Okay.
and it makes it easier for people to understand each other when we are conversing. And it's something that I've picked up from how you were questioning, that we are going to have nice conversations, and I get to be well spoken when I'm having a conversation. The main purpose why we are here in Soshanguve, it's because, and I want to intertwine it with what you were saying partly about the interest of young people in politics. I think maybe let me start to address that first before I get to the main issue. You see, when you are a young person, you don't exist in a vacuum in society. Like uphela le batho, young and old, with different influences in life. And when you are a young person who is in a society like ours, where there's a number of factors, I would mention factors like unemployment, factors like diseases that we are faced with as young people, HIV and AIDS. There's just a number of issues that we're dealing with. Now, if you're a young person and you want to think that you are far from politics, or you are not interested in politics, your life is political. For you to be at school, for you to go to university, there is a political process that you must go through. It's your life. You take a decision whether you want to go or not. That on its own is purely politics, because it's about decision and implementation. So it's those are just simple examples that I would want to show you that there is no young person, even the old, but particularly young, because we're speaking to the youth, who would not say their life is not affected by politics one way or the other. The difference is party politics, they tend to create a particular picture about politics. Like you would see an organization that is far from you, but if you get to understand exactly what is an organization, it's a grouping of people to pursue a particular objective. Now, those people have different interests from where they are from. In the ANC Youth League, it's because we believe in certain values, non-sexism, non-racialism. So there are values that you as a person, you embody and you identify with, to say, but this organization speaks to me on particular issues. You join. It can be any other organization, whether it's political, whether it's a church choir, it's an organization. So those groupings are important for society, because those, they might say it's a church choir, but they have their own politics. It's a political environment, because you are dealing with a number of people. So you cannot necessarily isolate yourself from politics. Now, in relation to what brings us here is, because we are a conscious generation of young people, and from Soshanguve, we are sitting with a very serious challenge, because us marching on the 22nd, it's a byproduct of everything that has been happening. It's not something that is just fell from the sky. It's the reality that we're faced with as young people in Soshanguve. Young people, like I would have said, who are unemployed, and unemployed for various reasons. Others, I can tell you, are graduates to even a master's level, PhD level, from here in Soshanguve, who are unemployed. You have young people who are in business, who don't get sufficient support for their businesses to thrive. They end up collapsing. We call them SMMEs. We have young people who are in business informally, so amajita thengisa iphathu abangaseregisteranga into njengalezo, amajita thengisa station, you know, umuphando fela nje general. That is business, but though government would call it maybe in a different name because it's not particularly registered. Yes. But these are economies that we must be able to look into, and how they then make sure that they support Soshanguve as a society, because those people are selling there, at least you know, they are able to buy something, they go home. You see, those are political issues. You see that politics are not far from everything that we're doing, because we're doing these things just to feed kids and to fulfill our needs and so forth. Yes. Now, out of all these things, the challenges that we're faced with as young people here in Soshanguve, there is a reality that we're faced with. And as well, there is another element to it. You will find a situation where people of Soshanguve, by virtue of staying here, which is in the capital city of Pretoria. Pretoria is the capital city. It brings a lot of economic opportunities for people who are coming from different provinces. Now, it makes also our society to also be heterogeneous in a way, like we get to be mixed with other groupings of society, even though me and you can be Zonga, can be Pidgin, whatever. But our cultural background is not the same compared to a person who solely grew up in Soshanguve and a person who grew up in Malamulela and coming to Pretoria. The influence, the culture, it's different. That on its own, it's a sociological issue that will also breed a number of things. Amongst them, it's an element of crime, because we're competing for resources. Yes. Now, in a scramble for resources, when others don't get more than others and so forth, it ends up being a situation where we must then start to compete. But now, because of our inability to coordinate ourselves, we end up going to extreme measures of competing. And in that space of us competing, we end up, in a way, developing a social culture that is wrong. Because criminals, this is where I'm going, is not a person who just wakes up and decides that they're going to steal. It's a system of criminality. It's three people who are doing something, the other one is watching from a distance, they get interested, they want to have a bite, then the next thing they're in that circle. when they're in that circle, remember these people are, because of various factors that we'll also explore. Criminality is not something that is there. It happens here. It becomes a social culture. We know that these people, in that way, it then becomes a norm. But because now there is a scramble for resources, or there is limited resources, everyone thinks that no, that is a quicker way of, making it in life. And then young people, they start now to idolize the idea of being a criminal. Now it plays in their heads because there is little that they can do. Remember, we spoke about our social aspect of life, where you find that here in our townships, even sports fields, they are not in a good condition. We don't have basketball courts, we don't have tennis courts. So it's very limited for young people to can also be active. And then when you find a space where there is young people who are organized, there is little resource, they want to be a church choir, they don't have an organ, and. So these kids, they end up being despondent, and then they resort to being in the streets. When they're in the streets, that's when they get the influence of being in crime and so forth and so forth. So now that on its own, it erodes some element of moral fiber in society. And once you have that, it means you are going to breed a particular generation of young people who will be heartless, who can do anything, anytime. That's where we are today, where stealing is no longer stealing anymore. It involves killing, and that's what is happening here in Soshanguve. So from that culture of stealing, it has escalated to a point where if maybe they need to prove a point, they must be able to kill. And that is what has led us in Soshanguve, where they had many cases in Soshanguve where young people have been killed through a barrel of a gun over things that should not ordinarily happen in society, And it got us to be worried, to question ourselves, to say, but what are we doing about this? It can't be normal. And then humanity or in passing. So it has become a norm already. And to us as an organization, as the ANCYL, we treasure life, and we took a decision that, look, we can't be in a situation where we are unable to raise our frustrations, and our frustrations must be heard. And people that must be able to assist us in this instance is the law enforcement agency, your SAPs, the judicial services that the country has. There must be a way that actually we pin down all these criminal elements that are happening in Tswane, and particularly in Soshanguve, because if these things are left unattended, I can tell you, me and you are going to be sitting like this. Someone will just come in here and just take the cameras as we're sitting like this. We are going to get to that point if we don't stand up as young people in Soshanguve.
It's already happening.
You check. So now it's worse. So if it's happening, it means that anyone can easily come in here and just tell you.
The other day, I went to the internet cafe with this guy.
Yeah.
Ask him what happened. The guy, the owner of the internet cafe, refused to let us in because he fears that people may come in with guns and then take away, or I don't know, his money or the equipment he uses. So it's already happening.
That's a kind of society that now we're leaning towards too. And if you can check, they are fearing you young people. So it means predominantly the problem is with us as young people. So we can't be leading a structure of young people and are unable to confront each other to say, guys, what we're doing is wrong. It's morally incorrect. It does not mean if you're unemployed, therefore you must be subject yourself to a person then who wants to rob people and so forth. So those are some of the things that we want to raise a consciousness around. So the march is not a march because we're sitting somewhere, we're bored. We're like, hang on, let's bring back, let's reclaim our streets. Let police assist us to reclaim our streets. Now it's difficult to even walk at 6 o'clock. I can imagine a kid now who's doing his matric or her matric, who wants to do these things of studying after normal schooling hours. It's a problem. And then our conditions, our environments are not the same in the house. You might find that others are living in a 2-bedroom house and then 14 and these kids, they can't study, because it's cramped in there. And now the only facility that is there is the school. But when a young person, particularly women, young women, I think it affects them more than anyone else. She's thinking, if I'm going to leave school at 7 o'clock, it means I run a risk of being raped.
Yes.
So therefore, a person must think whether they are going to delay their future because they are afraid to be raped, or they expose themselves with an attitude of attempting to get their future and they end up being raped. So we are sitting with a crisis. That's why we are marching. We are marching because we have a crisis in Soshanguve. And if we are unable to reclaim our streets, we are going to have a problem. Now, that is what will propel us to say, guys, let's all of us, all young people who are watching your show from any space where in Soshanguve, they must make sure that they become the voice, they reclaim the streets, they reclaim their being. We are tired of young people being afraid in their own communities. We want to put a stop to that. And we want criminals to now start to fear communities to a point where we must know that if there is a criminal as young people, we must be able to report that person. We must take extreme measures to make sure that we expose criminals, because it can't be normal. It can't be normal, I can tell you. So that is why we are here. We'll then maybe explain further as in when we go through your podcast. But that is just the background of why, as young people, we are saying, guys, let's stand up, let's march. So the march is not something that we just bought, like I said, right? What can we do tomorrow? Yes. It's a moral issue more than anything else. You see, I wanted to make this example actually. You know how bad the situation is now, to a point where even they can't go by alone. Yes. And remember, even during the week, there must be someone who accompanies them. And who is that someone? It's a young person who's supposed to be in school. So I want to show you how devastating crime is. A child will miss schooling hours.
I know very well, because last week I went with this guy to Navkok, and as we were walking down the road, so this guy was having a side bag on his chest, so he was taking out his phone. So these two old ladies were walking towards us, and the other one, when we approached them, said, "Wana agina chele." So the lady thought this guy was taking out a gun. So you can imagine already, everyone knows, or like, crime can happen in broad day. You get what I'm saying?
It's bad.
So like, you may continue, because like I still have questions, but I want to
true. And those are some of the things that are actually worrying us, who are more on the moral side of life. To say that situation that you're explaining, can you imagine the trauma of an old person when remember us as young people, when they all see us, they must be in a position of feeling a sense of being safe. When they see us now, they shriek, they panic, they don't know what is it that they're going to do. So imagine that kind of society. Imagine the kids that are going to grow from. So we're in a war zone, and it's us young people that must curtail Soshanguve from being a war zone. Our old people must be able to walk free and understanding that so our march it's particularly to raise social consciousness amongst young people. To say, guys, let's start to think otherwise.
So what would you say is the reason for all this in terms of the crime that's happening? Would you say it's poverty? Because like, you can't, as like you will be marching on the 22nd, right? Where will be the meeting point? Because let's say young people want to come enjoy it and unify and go along with you guys to the police station.
No, we'll leave the details with you, but the meeting point is a Giant Stadium,
okay,
next to Navkok, of course. From Giant Stadium, we'll be marching to Soshanguve police station, at transfer, just after transfer. The march will be happening on the 22nd of May, which will be on a Wednesday. On Wednesday, 22nd of May, from 9 o'clock, we'll be marching to SABS. We will be delivering a memorandum there. We'll speak about the memorandum, like it's some of the things that we have raised with you. And we deliberately chose to do it on the 22nd, which is during the week, to also highlight what we're speaking about, the issue of unemployment in Soshanguve. Because
so like, yeah, as we continue, I don't know where we were the last time, but you were explaining about the march.
Yes. So yeah, like I was saying, the march will be happening on the 22nd of May. The intention is to close down Soshanguve completely. All young people across the length and breadth of Soshanguve they must make their way to Giant Stadium. Let's go and reclaim our streets. Let's go and reclaim Soshanguve from the criminals. We want criminals to start to fear young people now in Soshanguve because it's not normal.
So okay, as you will be marching to the police station, what's the main objective? Are you going there to just give them the memorandum and saying we're sick and tired of the crime, then you go back and then the crime continues? What's the difference?
No,
because it's not like this is the first time the police or the community went to the police station to complain about the crime. So I'm asking, well, like, what will be the difference now?
Yeah, no, good question, my brother. I want to approach it in this way. Like I said, this march is not like any other ordinary march. It's to highlight a number of things that lead to where we are, the crisis that we're facing in ANCYL. Now, why we want to march to the police station? It's not only about the police station, like I said. It's also about the judicial system itself, the courts, how they must be able to assist us. One, what we want to express to the police of Soshanguve, SAPS, which is very important for us, is that we want SAPS to start to be more proactive than being reactive to situations. It means when we know that Soshanguve is becoming a crime zone, it means SAPS must be able to be in the streets 24 hours. We no longer want vans of SAPS that are going to stay in the police station and they only react to situations when the crime is happening in the streets. We want, when we are sitting like this, there must be visible policing here. There must be a police van that is in the vicinity so that anything, even criminals must start to fear that we can't rob these people because there is a van of police somewhere. We will be arrested, you know. We want to say that because we know for a fact that there is enough capacity in terms of the vans that are around to can curtail some of these things that are happening. But what is happening here? You'll find that these vans, you know, where I grew up, actually, I used to question myself when I was growing up. Mara, vene ya mapolisa, iruba la bya nkuntlu nya motho. You know, I think you've seen some of these instances where a police van, ikola ping la someone, ntatolo robetsi ba rekele police. And then you ask yourself, but this van was it's there to protect us.
When you call the police station, they say we don't have vans.
You know, and like what kind of a normal society is that where a police van will be used as a private vehicle for a policeman? So part of the demands that we're going to tell SAPS is that we want to make sure that all these vans, they're in the streets, they're assisting people. Either they're apprehending people or they're putting order in the streets. A honorable van, railway service. If there's SAPS, protect, it must work. That is its responsibility, it must work. So there's no van that must be in the police station. We want those vans to be visible in the streets so that we are able to stop these things that are happening. Because people are, you know, criminals, they know for a fact that a reaction time of the police is going to be 2 hours late. That person will already be in Joburg when they take the car now here in Soshanguve. When the police start to react, that car is going to pass by the vehicle transfer where the police are. They will still be looking for a van and. So we want to stop those things. They must be in the streets. That is one part of the memorandum that we want to the SAPS to have. But two, we want to call on SAPS to be more professional now. We want to professionalize SAPS because currently what we are seeing, even police vans that we are seeing in the streets, there is a well-known fact that here in Soshanguve, even criminals, they eat with the police. Yes. So when you see a van entering here, you know, we want to put an eye on rogue policemen. They must be out of the service. That is why I'm telling you that this march will be an extraordinary march. It won't be a march just for the sake of marching. We want to reclaim what is ours because that is taxpayers' money. You know, what these people are doing. We're not saying all police armed forces are criminals or they're engaged in criminal activities, but the trade that is rotten, it's true enough because they are making the whole thing to look bad, you know. So we must be in a position where we start to professionalize subs. They must start to understand that there must be men and women of authority and men and women of that exude, you know, a sense of respect and decorum in them in trying to deal with societal issues. Like now, you find a situation where really police are and I really transfer police, but there is no element of feeling that you are safe even when a cop is around you, because
isn't it the right thing to do? Like that, isn't it the right thing? Or like when you see a policeman, you must be scared. I think it's the right thing, because like when you look at police, I'm not saying or like the police brutality of apartheid was right or whatnot. Like if you look at the structures of police back in the days compared to now, right? When you see a policeman, I was not there, but this is what I hear, right? When you see a policeman on the street, you run because you know you are scared of them. Right now, when you see a policeman, it's a normal guy, because like I think as a society we've gotten too much into modernized modernized society or whatever, or like no, we must treat them as normal people, they're bruised. And I think it's that kind of a behavior that makes police wants to be friends, because now it's a normal thing. If you see me with someone, it doesn't mean crime. But then if you are friends with a criminal, what are you discussing? Because like a criminal can't be friends with someone who's a policeman, irregardless of where you come from. I don't think that's the right thing. And then I'm saying, like this police that we have to police is not the same, and it's much more lenient to how it's supposed to be. Because like now you find out or like police guys are friends with criminals, and it's a normal thing, because in the new South Africa everyone has a right to have, you know, different things, different friends. You know, if I am a policeman and I'm a friend with a criminal, it's a normal thing, because like if I'm not at work, I'm still a normal person. So my work mustn't, you know, affect my life. But it's wrong, because you chose to be a policeman. So you signing up to be a policeman, you have to make sacrifices. You cannot be friends with a criminal, irregardless of where you grew up. Maybe you grew up with the guy and then he turned out to be a criminal. You must cut ties with that person, because you are a policeman. What are you showing to your society, right? Of which, even today, there's a place here in Soshanguve whereby criminals are much feared than policemen. Even policemen are scared of the place. I think we all know it, Jugley. I think like even an ambulance has to be escorted. If like I call it ambulance and there's an emergency here at home, an ambulance has to be escorted by policemen. Of which like it's the most ridiculous thing you can ever hear. Or like, how did it ever get to this point whereby like, and I think now on my own, I think the problem is not with the stations or whatever. It starts at the top. How the hell did we as a country have so illegal guns enter into the country? How did that happen? Because you cannot blame the police. The police are not at the border gates, right? So how the hell did so many guns enter into this? Because if like you can go to, like we can have march each and every single week, right? But if there's many people who have illegal guns on them, as a policeman, I'm scared, because I think you can't pass 6 months without hearing or a policeman was gunned down. Like last year, a young policeman from Extension End was gunned down by, is it last year or the year before? Yeah, last year, was gunned down by criminals. So as a policeman, I am a policeman, yeah, sure. But how am I supposed to do my job? Well, I know these people that I'm after have guns. So when I knock off, right, and I go to my home, I'm a father there. How am I not supposed to be scared? I think even policemen are scared to do their jobs because of that. But like these people have guns like us, so they're not scared. We found that our policemen are the ones that are much more scared of criminals nowadays. So I think the problem is too big.
No, that's true. That's true. And I think, you know, I agree with you, my brother. I agree with you fully on a number of things. But this is where actually Rona as young people should be able to take a stand. And we should be able to determine what becomes of our future.
Okay.
In this sense, maybe it's just me being me as a person. I'm less obsessed with problems. I'm always solution orientated in a way.
Okay.
I'm imagining a situation where all of us are going to complain and none of us is not going to do anything.
Yes.
Someone must be in the firing line, and we've put our lives at the firing line just to make sure that we resolve a number of these things, because remember, it's our kids who are going to grow up here. We're from here. You understand? We can't run away from our township because there is a lot of bad that is happening and so forth. And to a large extent, I agree with you about the issue of guns. There must be, that's why I'm saying to you, you see where there is an element of lawlessness, anything happens. And I can tell you, if there was a firm hand of the law enforcement, little guns will be in the streets. I can tell you, because it's a bit say, hey, we ask go to your phone and you know, that is the kind of police actually that we want now, where when there is a tip off that Mullah has a gun, police must come here and raid, because we can't have guns at the hands of people who are not trained to even have guns, or who are not licensed to have guns. What are you doing with the guns? You know, but it's us as young people who have, remember, you know, these things, these are things that are known by young people. That is my worry, and that is my greatest frustration. It's us who know who's who in the zoo. But we are quiet about this information. We are not reporting these things. Whether we fear or not, that is something else. But the more everyone starts to fear, it means this thing is going to prevail.
But I think it's way more beyond fear, because let's say I'm a young person and I know someone has a gun or he's a criminal, and you know, and then I report him, they arrest him. 6 months or 1 year later,
or 2 days later,
he's back.
2 days later.
So like, how will I be motivated next time when I know someone has a gun, and then he will come back?
That's why we're marching.
The youth is much more like motivated to even report such things.
That's why we're marching. Part of the things we're saying is that we want to professionalize subs. When there is a case opened, it must be followed through and through.
Don't you think, or like the death penalty should be brought back?
Yeah, my brother, that is one difficult discussion, because the organization that I belong to, it's a principled organization, and it does not, which is the ANC. It does, I believe, so there is a, for in as much as I would understand the frustration and what that might do, but we believe in the rule of law. We believe in the Constitution, which prescribes to us that death penalty is you know, I'm trying to find a better way than the words that I would normally use. Harsh, not necessarily harsh, but it's just against human ethos, human values. You know, there is a way to correctly punish people who are doing wrong. instead of taking their lives. We are not a country that believes in that, you know.
But
And I understand
but
that
also
there is
in the
a-
Bible they say an eye for an eye.
No, I agree with you. It's fine. The Bible can say that, but I'm saying we are living in a constitutional democracy in South Africa, and which has a rule of laws that are internationally benchmarked, and they are accepted in a normal society. These things should not be happening, but because of crime, poverty, you know. Then now the discussion about I know that there is a discussion about let's bring back the death penalty and so forth and so forth. I don't think I'll be in a better position, you know, to can argue for because primarily the organization that I belong to and the values that it espouses, I don't think that penalty will then be a solution. You know, that's why our justice system and even our correctional services, that's why they're called correctional services.
But they are full though. That's why these criminals get released before time. It's because these correctional services are full of criminals. So
Yeah.
they cannot, you know, accommodate such a number of people. That's why most of them get released prematurely before their time. It's because these facilities are full. That's why I don't know if like already I think the memorandum has been written or what, but the death penalty will make sure like the people that go there are those, like if you kill a person you've killed, so we must be lenient because you have the right, but the person you have killed had the right to, but you've killed.
Yeah, no. I partly agree with you. And I would not want to dismiss because it's a conversation.
I think like we have like mostly 6 or 7 minutes, but yeah, let's
Okay.
continue.
So it's I think this is a discussion that we can have.
Okay.
Maybe let's invite each other again and explore
Yes.
the correct ways of trying to deal with some of these other things that we are facing as a society, and how, because I think there is a lot that we need to talk about. There is a lot that we need to talk about, and also civic education, because your show is predominantly young people who are watching it. It must have an element of being educational as well, you know, instead of just breaking news and all that. So let's try to find means and ways of having collaborative programs. Even when we're going to do other programs and so forth somewhere, we're able to invite each other, you know, we document, we speak on the satellites, and so that we get to what's important for us is to make sure that there is no young person who's left behind in terms of the knowledge that others have, in terms of as well the kind of society that we want to build as young people, you know. So there is a lot that we need to explore amongst ourselves.